for Leeds United.
Ellen Road is the only place for us.
Welcome back to the Roaring Peacock podcast, your one-stop shop for just sort of average opinions, really. And Leeds United will be talking in this week's episode about Leeds 1, Southampton 1, that sort of excitement fest. Leeds Watford preview. It's been 22 years since the tragedy in Istanbul, so we'll touch on that as well. Big Mac this week found a poll about owners, football club owners, and they've put it into a kind of Premier League table of fan satisfaction in terms of ownership. Click told Bob to fuck off, and he did. Burnley versus Everton is tonight, and Brighton are asking their fans to not shout shoot. Which seems a bizarre ask. And Matt Letizia as well has resigned from his own decision to resign as ambassador of Southampton. Hours after implying that the Ukrainians were making up the Bucca massacre. Right, to discuss all that and more, my name's Adonis, and you know me as @TheAdelites on Twitter. It's a very good hello from me. And joining us, the long lost son, the return of the prodigal brother, Big Wig, @Ryan Wignall.
Hello.
And the Prince of Darkness himself, Machiavellian Ewan Metcalf. Big Mac.
All right, are we okay? How are we doing? By the way, the better looking brother's on, the more talented one now.
Right.
Well said, Matt.
Shout out to...
I'm like one of them comedians that rocks up at every city going, "Yeah, best audience I've had." When I see your kid, I'll tell him, "Oh, I was only joking," to make him feel better.
Yeah, I knew that anyway. I knew.
But you know it's true, really.
Shout out to Wiggy then, chairman of the board. And they're releasing a new mural, aren't they?
Moral? What's a moral?
Moral.
A cross between a mural and a mural.
Right, yeah.
Which one is
my
that?
Grandma...
The peacock one?
Yeah, my grandma's name is Muriel. There you go. And before everyone's up in arms, we had nothing to do with the fact that it's a peacock, but I'm very happy that it is.
It's amazing.
Lovely, isn't it?
We've influenced them.
Woohoo, says Nora Galedale. Hello, the Adonis of football. Thank you. Thank you very much, Gail. Evening, everyone, says Nova. Hi, Ryan and Ewan. And Nora's written moron. She's calling me a moron. Nothing new.
She's just correcting that person. That's correcting that person who said you're the Adonis of football with you just a moron of football.
Sounds about right. The moron of Leeds. Right, Leeds 1, Southampton 1. Big Wig.
Yeah.
How was it?
Really, I think first half we absolutely rated them, you know. We had some good chances, real good chances in that first half. But it's the same old adage when it comes to Leeds, isn't it? You know, create some really good chances, really good situations, and not being able to take them. And I mean, I think we all know that's down to the fact that we haven't got a striker on pitch. And I honestly think if we did have a striker on pitch that day, we would have won comfortably. Second half, I expected a bit of a reaction from Southampton because they are a good side. You know, they've done really well this year, and we were a little bit on back foot. But again, we did create good chances again in second half, and again, just missed opportunities. But I mean, we take a point, don't we? And we move on to Watford this weekend.
Big Mac, Southampton.
Yeah, just mirror what Ryan said. Really, that kind of felt like once we scored, we seemed to be real. I mean, we started absolutely superb, 100 mile an hour. We were all over him. We were breaking through, loads of chances, half chances. Agree completely that, you know, I don't think he's fully fit, is he? But you've got to start with a striker on pitch. I know Rodrigo's not a typical striker. Joffy's the man in who you kind of want to be on the pitch from the start because he he has got that striker's instinct. He knows where the goal is. You know, James isn't. I like James, but he's not a striker. So I felt like we kind of played really well up to the goal, and then almost kind of thought, right, we can just relax and be patient, and we'll get another couple. And we didn't, did we? And that was always a bit like Newcastle. It was always going to be the way, wasn't it? If you didn't kind of put your chances away, we were going to regret it, and we did. Although I didn't think we afforded them many chances. You know, brilliant free kick from Ward-Prowse, which he's capable of. People were saying, "Oh, it's stupid giving free kicks away 18 yards out and on edge." But you're going to give free kicks away. You just hope he has an off day, or you don't give him a sighter. But he didn't need one, did he? He just stuck it straight at the top corner. So I think we were a little bit unlucky. I look at it as a point gained. I think, considering the run we were having and the kind of points we dropped, they're not a bad side. They're not brilliant either. I mean, they're not too far ahead of us, but they're capable on the day of beating anybody. And I thought that we probably deserved the win, and ultimately, again, regretted those missed chances. But yeah, 7 points out of 9. I'm really happy with that. That you've got to be happy with that, again, considering how many points we've picked up all season. Let's hope we can take that form on, go and beat them for another 3 or 4 games, get a couple of wins in there. We're done, aren't we? We're safe, home and hosed.
The Llorente header was the one for me. If he gets that on target, it's a goal. A few chances fell to James. He's a problem, isn't he, James? Because he works really hard off the ball. Like, there's a lot of stuff that he does well, but he's just not a striker at. I think he's a winger.
Yeah, I agree.
He's 100%. His touch lets him down at times. If you look at Harrison as a winger, you can't criticise his touch, can you? His touch is absolutely bang on. Like, they've got pillow feet, haven't they? But like, there's times. I mean, there was a couple of times on Saturday where he just miscontrolled the ball. I think he miscontrolled one quite early on. Could have led to a chance. I mean, you look at the Villa game and stuff. You can take a chance, but not. It's a different kind of chance when it comes at him, and he's kind of got to find a little bit of an angle and then get the shot off. Sometimes he gets really good opportunities to just one good touch and you open up the rest of the goal, and he never quite pulls it off, does he? He gets a bit excited. But I like him. I can't remember the Wolves game, was it the Wolves game or the Wolves game, was it?
West Ham?
Was it Wolves? Was it Norwich? I can't remember. What was the game where we lost loads of players? Was it Wolves? It was Wolves, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he sort of started out deeper, and he was really good. He was coming onto it and taking the ball off people and harassing people, and then steaming forward and scaring the life out of the defence. And he's just too far forward, isn't it, to have an impact?
Yeah.
The impact you want him to have on the game.
The West Ham game was the one where Harrison scored the hat-trick. I was trying to think of the game where he actually played well, Dan James. Do you remember? He's had good moments on it, but he's never really showed a good 90 minutes. I thought he was good against Villa, wasn't he? He was really good against Villa. I thought he was good against Wolves. Yeah, Villa was where he scored, didn't he? He scored a couple, I think. And the Wolves game, he was really good. He was a nuisance most of the night and stuff. So that's what he is, isn't he? He's a pest. You wouldn't like to play against him because he'd be rattling at you all the time. And once he gets the ball, he's quick, he's rapid, isn't he? So he's not a striker, but they're asking him to play there for a reason because he closes people down. He defends from the front. But we are missing a lot of. If you look at from Newcastle onwards, if you added up the number of good chances we've missed, it's frightening, isn't it? You could be in 10th, could be in 9th or 10th, 8th. We're just putting a couple of them away, really. But it's football, isn't it? Game of inches. Bamford's been the difference.
Massive difference.
Yeah. We've missed those 17 goals. But I tell you who has improved. Rodrigo.
Oh, yeah.
But without doubt, Jesse Marsh has come in. He's the player we signed, isn't he? We're seeing the player that, Spanish international number 9. I've got a friend in Spain, Spanish guy in Spain who's a good friend of mine. And he said, wow, you've got some player. When we signed him. I didn't know much about him. I know he played at Bolton before. But now we're starting to see it. I think most Leeds fans have criticised Rodrigo for the last 2 years. Maybe. and maybe deservedly so, because this is a £30 million player. We haven't seen nothing until his last. Back end of last season we saw it.
Yeah.
And now it's like a man possessed.
Yeah.
Everywhere he wants the ball. He's create everything good that we do right now. Going through Rodrigo, absolutely everything we do that's good going forward.
Yeah, he's pulling the strings, isn't he? It's bizarre. A couple of these players who've really shone for Valencia, Pablo Hernandez and Rodrigo, they've ended up, in really bizarre places like Bolton and Swansea. Oh dear. Okay.
He's probably been man at match for the last 3 out of 4 games, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Quite easily, he's pulling the strings, like you're saying. He's that orchestrator that you want to see, and he's definitely settled in. Whether he was unhappy or the task that he was being asked to do was too much for him, but he certainly doesn't lack enthusiasm or effort, does he? I mean, he looked leggy under Bielsa. Whether it is that training or being asked to sort of man mark all the time and concentration wise, but. There is players who that ain't going to work for some players. They are that player who can find space between the lines, who can use it well, who can play 30 different passes, not just one or two off the instep or one off the outside at foot. He can play every pass going, that kid, and he usually finds people. So, I've never given up on him because I like him as a player. I think I've seen flashes of, his intelligence against Newcastle. People said, he was rubbish. He wasn't rubbish. He was probably one of the better players then, but he's certainly come into his own in the last few games. He's been superb.
Definitely.
Yeah, he finds that half space between their opposition defence and midfield in the same way that Pablo did, just in that sort of number 10 pocket, and really pulling the strings, like you said, Ewan. But he works well on the break as well. If he spots these creative passes, got such great vision, wand of a left foot, at times just needs to be a bit more consistent and put the ball in the back of the net a couple of times to finish your chances, and we'll be more than fine. Few of your comments. Gail Dale, think Watford going to be tough. Paul Hunt, evening lads. Evening Paul. 3 points against Watford, no worries for me this season. Wouldn't mind Everton and Lampard winning tonight, leaving Burnley on 21 points.
No.
It's a difficult one, isn't it, that one?
It is, I think it's a great talking point because the despise for Lampard but I just think you can't wish things on an individual. You have to, wish things on for your own club, and I think I don't really want Everton to win, but I don't want Burnley to win. That's a given. I think a draw would be decent for us.
Yeah, I think so.
But the people who want Everton to win are just honestly, they're just macabre. It's like, what's wrong with you? Sorry, want Burnley to win. Sorry, there's something wrong with them. I mean, why would you want a team that's got 3 games in hand on us to go within 6 points, or whatever it is, 5 points of us? I can't understand that one. Draw will do if Everton win. It's kind of by Watford. I reckon that's your bottom 2 in it, and then it's just one more space really. If Everton capitulate after that and drop straight down, very comfortable with that as well. No,
a vicious draw, a brutal draw.
10 injuries, couple of sendings off. Yeah, somebody banned. Yeah, play behind closed doors for the rest of the season.
Yeah, now you're talking. And it's like 4-4 as well, and they're all really shit goals, just bobbling in, goal line scrambles, but it destroys the confidence of the 2 goalkeepers. Just a hellish game. Good start from Leeds. I would have hoped to use 2 strikers under Jesse Marsh. Do we have 2 fit strikers? Max Dean and Greenwood, maybe.
Not now because they keep playing him at under 23s, don't they? And getting him injured.
Oh, God.
Right. So, I mean, that's what I saw on Twitter. Everybody complaining, why has he played Joffrey? Now he's injured. But the thing is, if he didn't play, and then he got injured in the first 5 minutes because he was cold against Watford, everybody would be going, why didn't he get some minutes for the under-23s?
Yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it, as we've established.
Of course it is.
I get the feeling sometimes people just want to complain on Twitter. Nova, all of our strikers have been crippled though. Yep. Madge. Hi all. This is my aunt.
Hello, Aunt Madge.
Hello, Madge.
Yeah, Mad Auntie Jack. Short for Madge. Nova, Forshaw is sabotaging them so he doesn't end up as the body part donor again. There you go.
He's been great as well, by the way, on Forshaw. He's been great.
Yeah.
He's taken that personally as Adam.
Yeah.
Must be a different guy. This Rodrigo says Gale, and I would prefer Burnley to win. They will stay up anyway. Says Bandit. Well, what's wrong with Greenwood? I don't know. McAllister Bishop, evening lads. Do you think Everton will go down? I'm backing Burnley to win tonight. MOT lads. Not a lot of love for Lampard in the chat.
No. I wonder why.
Right, let's go.
I mean, Burnley, Everton have a bunch of good fixtures. They've got games in hand. I think Burnley's run-in's fairly decent as well. But somebody pointed out they just can't score a goal. Jeez, Big Mac, you look like you're in a microwave.
Right?
You look like you're in. You look like you're inside a microwave. The pixel rate's dropped.
I guarantee you, I'm not in a microwave. I promise. Is it back?
Right. Watford. What are we thinking about Watford?
I think it'll be a difficult game. I think a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we'll turn up and just beat them." I read a thing that Watford have lost their last 8 league games at home.
Really?
Apparently so. So I just thought, well, the gift that keeps giving's rolling into town on Saturday. It don't bode well.
Yeah, it's very true.
You know, I expect us to win the game. I really do. With that, in our relegation phase, I think if we win at weekend, we're going to be safe. And I think it's a massive game that we must win, to be honest, as well. So that with that itself brings added pressures. We're playing well, and we're on a good run, like Big Mac said earlier. There's no reason to go there with any fear or nervousness about it. I think we just need to go there, play our game, take our chances, and we will get the 3 points.
The last Leeds player to score a winner at Vicarage Road. 2012. Can you ever guess?
Rob Hulse. I was going to say Rob Hulse, but
Ross McCormack.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah,
Wow.
There you go. Last time we won at Watford away was 2012-2013 season. And the one before that was Richard Naylor in 2010.
Wow.
So there you go. 2 wins away at Watford in the last 12 years.
Someone's got to give, hasn't it? Either the one they haven't won in 8 games at home, Ryan won or your one, but it's like I said, it's a bit like Newcastle. They come with all these stats like it's almost a given Leeds are going to win. It's going to come back to bite us, don't you? That's the thing. So we've just got to go and do what we've done the last few games and just not give up and keep fighting. And if we go down, keep going. And like Ryan said there, every game's a big game now. When you're there, 16th, whatever we are, every game's massive because you want to get to a point where you're safe. And ultimately, we're not yet. We're still probably shy. I don't think bottom 3 are going to get more than 33, 35, maybe absolute maximum points. So probably another win. I mean, our goal difference isn't great, so maybe a win and a draw in the next, 7 games. So, but you still don't want it going on for another 3 games without that win, do you? Because then you start to look down and not up. I mean, on Saturday, when we were winning 1-0 and Brentford were drawing, we were like 14th, and it looked like, we're heading in the right direction. You know, Barney have been saying we'll be in Europe by next week. You know, but it's one of them, isn't it, where you've got to get yourself over that line as soon as you can. And Watford, as I think Ryan said there, I don't think any game's going to be easy now because everybody will fancy it against us a little bit. And Watford are fighting themselves. Nothing's going to be easy now. Nothing's a given. You've got to go and earn it, haven't you?
So I do have some extraordinary team news from Watford. They've got a new midfielder. Oh yeah, here he is.
Hodge, big Hodge.
There you go. Look at that.
Oh, he's still got it.
Left foot will never lose it. I'm testament to that. If you've got a good left foot, you never lose it. It's always like a wand.
Yeah.
So that's 74-year-old Roy Hodgson getting an assist in Watford training there.
Good on him. I can't wait for the next clip where somebody goes straight through him from behind. He's not doing that twice. Fuck that. Boom.
His leg just snaps off like a twig.
Yeah. Leg broken up floor.
8-Ball Alley. I want Burnley to win. Everton have no chance in the rest of their games, so they'll go down. Burnley have all the bottom teams, so they could end up above us anyway. There you go. Nova, I wouldn't be sure about playing two kids up front either. Galedale, Everton got a hard run in as well, a bit like us. And Burnley have got Norwich. Also, McAllister Bishop just says, fuck Lampard.
It could be his new first name, couldn't it? It might change it by Depot. You see him crying today about the fixtures. It's like, what don't you understand about football, mate? You've played it long enough. Your entire family's been involved in it all their lives. You have to play every in the season twice. Sometimes you have to play 3 games a week. What the fuck are you moaning about now? He's a proper crybaby, and he's not. Even if he hadn't shot in changing room and been a complete bellend at that playoff the final, I'd still hate him because he's just a proper entitled cockney bastard, isn't it? Like, oh, you know, when we've got the Harley, we've got to play 3. Big fizz, you know what I mean? Fuck off with you. Get on with it. Yeah, what a terrible appointment because he's just like throwing everybody under the bus in it, blaming everybody but himself. You know, like he's just an awful character, and God knows what that Christine Beattie must have seen in him because she was like on telly. She was like the hot stuff on telly, wasn't she? She's gone downhill as well. She must be just like depressed being hanging around with him. Like when you get 2 parrots in a cage and one of them gets depression, it drags the other one down and starts pulling its feathers out and fucking shitting on each other and stuff. You have to put them in separate cages so they don't, deteriorate together and drag each other down.
Now, seeing as though we were talking about it, the run-in, I'm just going to try and find... Oh, dear. I should really set these things up. Okay, I've got it now. So somebody's put this together, and it's the run-in, so the remaining games of all the other teams, and sort of like a fixture difficulty rating, which is color coded next to it. So these you got the game weeks up here. Obviously, these are the teams. Probably don't need to explain that. And then these are their fixtures during those game weeks. So green is easy, obviously. Pink a bit more difficult, and red very, very hard. So obviously, Leeds, obviously we've already done that. So Watford, and then we've got a blank Crystal Palace, and then it's Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea. So I feel like we probably need to win these 2 games coming up, and then of course Brighton and Brentford. But we're talking about Burnley. They've got Everton, Norwich, West Ham, Southampton, Wolves, Watford, Villa again, and Newcastle, and just Spurs is that tough one. So that's the run-in that I was sort of talking about, which is fairly favourable for them, I think. And then if you look at Everton, as somebody's pointed out in the chat, they've got Burnley tonight, and then it's Scum, Leicester, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester again. I don't see him getting anything from those games.
No, it's an atrocious run for them. It really is.
It's a weird one.
You're loving it, Big Big.
It's like Burnley. I mean, how is, I don't know. I don't get how they rate people as being easy. So West Ham away at Burnley is easy or easy-ish. How?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to ask Lynn here, aren't you? This is a question for Lynn.
Lynn, I'm asking, mate. You know, at the end of the day, there's a few in there that I would disagree with. Like, you know, I can't agree that some of those games are going to be easy. Listen, but when you're down there, like Burnley are, like Everton has struggled for the last, since Lampard took over, but was struggling before. You know, look at Brighton. You know, Brighton have gone on they were looking like they might qualify for Europe, and everybody was talking about Potter as next England manager, and they've just gone on an absolute spiral. So, you know, there is no easy games. So you've got to go out and earn whatever you get from now on. And looking at all that nonsense it doesn't interest me. You've got to go. It's an old cliche, but that's why it's an old cliche. You go game by game, and you were set out to go get something from each game. You know, if we drew 4 games from here on in, we'd probably stay up. That's the reality, you know, of where we're at. And you know, I'd much rather have the points on the board than be like Burnley and Everton and have games in hand, because ultimately, when you're playing well, having games in hand's great. When you're playing poorly, it's a poison chalice around your neck, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brighton have scored 1 goal in the last 7 games.
Crazy. Because they've not got a striker. It's same as us. You know, if you look at them, they've got the lad Mope, who I think's probably a bit like Mitrovic, in as much he'd probably score loads in Championship, but don't seem to carry it into the Premier League. And other than that, I can't name another striker that they've got that you'd be frightened of. You know, you've got to have a good striker in this league, haven't you? And that's where we've suffered this year. I mean, if we'd have had Bamford every game this season, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'm pretty sure of that.
And you talk about Lampard giving bad excuses. Potter's come out and said the fans...
No. Fans are putting us off.
The fans yelling shoot are putting the players off.
I wonder what everybody's going to be shouting at them from now on for the rest of the season. It's like every away fan will be shouting shoot every time they get the ball. The thing is, I've always found it's the same as when you play yourself, but when you watch football matches in the crowd, you see somebody, and it's always the player who you'd least likely want to shoot, because the crowd, every time they hit a ball, it ends up in like the next street or, you know, over the top of the stand. Every time the crowd shouts shoot, how many people actually do it? Generally speaking, they never do they? Because it's like, no, I'm not going to fall for that one, you know. So might be why. Maybe he wants them to shoot more. It's psychological, you know. Stop shouting shoot, because people are thinking, no, I better not, because if this goes in Rose Head.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be every time Gary Kelly got the ball, David Batty, anywhere near the box, even Carlton Palmer, he'd be running like sideways near the halfway line, you know.
Trying to head balls off the ground and stuff.
Yeah. You'd have 50 drunk Leeds fans in the cup going, shoot, Carlton.
Yeah, Dewberry was the other one, wasn't he, whenever he used to get the ball like 35 yards. He could barely head the ball in the right direction, let alone shoot from 35 yards. But yeah, it's mad when you call it. Haven't they made a big sign? They've made a sign, haven't they, to go outside the ground to encourage fans not to shout it and stuff. It's like, that's a mad one, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll find it for us. But yeah, the one that sticks out for me is not Leeds, actually. It's Man City and Vincent Kompany, and that was the one time it was an absolute worldie.
Yeah, people were ironically shouting shoot, and he did, and it went right in the top corner at about 80 miles an hour.
Goal of the season.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was about to say exactly the same. That's the one that does stand out as being the one that, went right. But it's rare, isn't it? I think Bielsa was a component, you know, kind of a a preacher of that mentality of let them shoot, because 1 in 30 goes in top corner. Don't necessarily close people down aggressively 35, 40 yards out, because they're going to have a shot. It's really, unless they absolutely hit it like a perfect, it's not going in anyway. So, obviously, towards the end of his reign, it didn't quite work like that. Everything went in, didn't it? So,
do you know? I've just realised that this photo is actually been photoshopped. It's not real.
oh, is it not?
No, unfortunately not.
I'm a marketeer's dream, mate. I fall for everything.
Same.
Chocolate eggs, anybody? Chocolate eggs?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the one.
Yeah, we're trying to encourage the players to make their own decisions. So the actual sign exists, but somebody's photoshopped the Brighton logo. I mean, but that's what he's been saying anyway, isn't he? I mean, what are the fans going to start shouting? You know, follow the manager's instructions. Yeah. Just doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
Not at all.
Oh dear. Okay. But moving on. Chris and Kev. You want to talk about that, Big Mac?
Well, I think everybody's been talking. Any Leeds fan any Leeds fan, full stop, but any Leeds fan who was around at that time will probably have talked about it this week or had some engagement with it. And you know, we did a big thing about it last year, didn't we? And it can't go by 22 years since that fateful evening that, you know, I've talked about this before. It didn't just affect, you know, Chris and Kevin and their families directly. It affected, I know people who went to that game who've never been to a football match since, you know, and it had a resounding and completely life-changing impact on so many people. And not least Chris and Kev, of course, and their families. And I know some at Loftus family. And, you know, it's really tragic, you know, your brother. I think the thing that really stood out to me this week that I was reminded of is, you know, there's lots of things being levelled at Leeds fans and even at Leeds fans who were in Turkey that week and that night, you know, that they were doing stuff that provoked locals and so on and so on. You look at the photographs of Kevin Spate and Chris Loftus and you'll see they're just normal people. So any of these fans that bring Turkey, you know, flags to games or sing songs about it, they're despicable to me, because you look at pictures of Kevin with his kids, you look at pictures of Chris with his family and his brothers, and, you know, they're just normal lads who went to a football match and never returned because they were brutally murdered. Let's have it right. Not attacked, not brutally murdered, and justice has never been served, and that's what leaves an even more sour taste in Leeds fans' mouths. But all I want to say is that, you know, they'll never be forgotten, always remembered. I've started to loosen on the never forgive thing because I think it doesn't do anybody any favours really in the great long-term stuff. Nobody's going to forgive the individuals that did it, but we shouldn't hold it against the whole country or against the, you know, people who are from Turkey who are probably perfectly reasonable people and not violent thugs like this guy that committed this atrocity. But, you know, and I know, you know, the club were criticised for not really doing anything on the match day on Saturday, and obviously subsequently have done something at the ground, and all the players were there laying wreaths, and I can't remember the guy's name who does a few readings there, and the family were there and stuff. And that was a really nice one.
Gareth Senior.
Gareth Senior, yeah. He always does some brilliant words and commemorates it. Commemorates it in the right way. But you just can't let a year. It's such a tragic event in football. You know, you look at things that have happened to other clubs. I don't know whether, you know, like Heysel or, you know, the Bradford Fire or, you know, Hillsborough. You can't let those years or those memoriams of that event go by without doffing your cap and you know, having a minute silence and thinking that could have been your family, your brother, your dad, or somebody that could have been involved in that. And I guess Chris and Kev's no different. The nature
it's another year of their lives that they didn't get to have.
Yeah, that the kids didn't get to see them, that they haven't had their dad around, you know, the brother, family events. It'll never be the same. Life will never be the same again, will it? That's the point. And it's such a tragic thing. And I think the way it happened just puts a weight on, you know, I think it's said so much nobody should ever go to a football match and not come home, whatever that reason is, whether it be a Hillsborough or Bradford Fire, or in Chris and Kev's case, going to Turkey to watch a game and being brutally murdered. And it should be committed, and the memoriam should have an importance for the club and the fans. That's all I've kind of got to say on it, really.
Big Wig?
Yeah, I echo everything that Ewan said there. And although, like, on the day, the game at Southampton game, the club didn't do it, the fans did. All four sides of the ground turned their back on 22 minutes. And it was a really lovely, kind of moment to be there, and just to reflect on things and on Kevin Chris's life, and that they haven't got to live, all because of that night over there. And respect also to Southampton fans who also, they applauded what we were doing as well. Every one of them, and I just thought it was a really special minute or two where we all turned his backs, and and also that the club and Gareth as well, who does a lot of talking on the matter, speaks really well about it, and and it does need speaking about, and it needs speaking about every single year, and we will never forget him ever.
Amen.
Yes, here, indeed we won't, and yeah, knife crime as well is something that needs to be addressed and dealt with. Unfortunately, the government are busy selling off the country's assets to actually tackle any of the actual problems. They're too busy creating problems. It's so important to keep these kinds of things alive, and to know that they're not forgotten, and to sort of remember those lessons. As we've seen in the news recently, unfortunately, if you don't remember the lessons of the past, you're destined to repeat them, as that old phrase goes. And here we are again in 2022 with, almost Nazism, basically. It's been a mad few weeks. So, but it's just so good that the fans did that, and it was great that the club laid the wreaths on the day, and we've got to keep that going. Right. Owners. So you brought this to our attention, Big Mac. There's a guy called Nick Harris.
Yeah.
Get this up on screen. Nick Harris, let's have a look. Sporting Intelligence, so oxymoron, a perpetually skeptical attempt to make sense of sports relationship with money, interested in comment and numbers, reassuringly grumpy. There you go. Definitely an Englishman. So basically he's done a survey of football owners, and more than 10,500 fans of the Premier League clubs took part. More than 10,000 fans. Sounds like the Gaviscon badge, is it? 10,000 fans consulted.
Yeah.
So much data. He's giving the big sell anyway.
It's about 500 fans per club-ish, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah. So here's the league table then. And approval by fans of club. So top of the league is Brentford, as you'd expect. 98.77% approval rating. And who should be second but Leeds United and Andrea Radrizanni. So
just can't believe we become second in a poll. We never usually do it?
Right, yeah.
Usually hijacked by Leeds fans, like people voting against Brentford.
So a little surprised about that. This poll was done fairly recently at the end of January. I'm not saying that they don't deserve it, or he doesn't deserve it. I'm just a little surprised because there's quite a lot of animosity, certainly on social media against the ownership. So we wanted to sort of check that as well. So I put out a poll. Let's refresh it, get the latest numbers. So 153 votes. You can also vote as well if you're watching. There's 1 hour left to do it. But again, it's very reflective of the poll. Just slightly higher disapproval rating. This is obviously since Marcelo Bielsa has been sacked. So, Ewan,
Well, it's worth saying that again. That sort of snapshot of the view on the owners was taken before Bielsa, and I think they would have been more popular prior to that than they possibly are now. Certainly in certain sections of the fan base. But I was then pleasantly surprised, really, that considering the past we've had with owners and the despicable, how much they've been despised by the fans, Bates and Chilino, this kind of amateur roadshow that we've had under certain owners, that we've suddenly got an owner that they're never going to be. If you were popular with 100% of the fans, you're probably not doing your job right. You're always going to make decisions that are going to upset some people, and that's accepted. I guess he'll accept it. But to have such high figures, even pre Bielsa sacking, I think it's quite refreshing. I was quite pleased about that, because I think that whatever your thoughts are on the microcosm, the minutiae of his tenure at the club, as a whole, if you look at what he did when he took over to now, no other owner could have, money or not, could have guaranteed what he's achieved. Buying the stadium back. People always look for conspiracy theories. Yeah, there's a loophole with that where he's going to load of shit. Ultimately, that's our home, that's our church, and we wanted it back under our ownership, where anything that happens within that stadium is an asset to Leeds United. So I thought that there's a lot of things he's done. Bringing. Yes, he made mistakes with the managers they brought in before, but ultimately him and Orta got Bielsa. I think that very, very short microcosm of time, but I think Marsh is going to be a decent manager for us. I think he's going to do a good job for us. So I think you can hold your hands up and say, I was reading the thing about Orta's signings the other week, and there's some absolute shockers in there, right? But there's also some really good players that he's brought in, and that's just football, isn't it? But to focus on Leeds for a second, and I'll come on to some other thoughts I had about other clubs, to give them some kudos, really. I was just happy to see that a Leeds owner was thought of in such high regard. And if you look at like the debt and the kind of wage bill, and if you look at the net spend and so on compared to a lot of other clubs, yes, we've had a pretty horrible year with injuries and some signings not really working out. But ultimately, on those numbers, we always used to say, I worked with a lad who bought football clubs and got involved with football clubs, in the league and also lower level. And he always used to say that pretty much you can determine where every club's going to finish there'll be odd exception here and there, but it's a freak really, based on your spend. So based on the salary, the wages of the players and the spend on players, you can pretty much dictate where every club will finish based upon that. And I think that last year, proved that Leeds had something else about them. It wasn't just about spending, about throwing money at players. It was about this identity, and the way we played football got us results and made us. We finished higher up the table than we should have based on spend alone. And I think if you compare some of the others with Leeds even now, we're doing okay, aren't we? Again, take this season's been again freaky for injuries and so on. Yes, we're disappointed, but look at where Radrizanni bought the club and where we are now, and I think you've got to be relatively pleased, unless you're just looking for to be controversial, or you kind of think, wish we had a Man City. You look at that survey; it's talked about the clubs that are kind of despised the most because of where the money's come from. Look at the clubs that have voted against having an independent regulator and not having making it almost impossible for football washing countries or states to come in and buy a football club. Guess who the two clubs are who are against that? Newcastle and Man City. I wonder why. So you look at morally, we've got a good owner. He hasn't got any skeletons in his cupboard. There's no kind of moral controversy around things like that. So, yeah, I mean, good on him. You've got to hang your hat and say, well done. In my opinion, but obviously others will have different opinions, which is fine.
Bigwig?
Yeah, I think Radz has done a good. I voted good on our little Twitter poll there. He's done a good job, but 16 years outside at Premier League, done it in double quick time to get us back in the Premier League, and the way he did it. Put all his sort of like his eggs in one basket with Bielsa at the time. You know, they spent big on Bielsa and his idea, and they give him the, you know, they paid him well, they paid his team well, and Bielsa got, you know, he got his just rewards for doing that. You know, everything that Ewan said is right about back. He's put us back in the Premier League. You know, I don't think we're in a bit of danger of going down, but I don't think we are going to go down, and we can kick on. My only sort of like gripe or whatever with Radz is that I honestly do think he missed a trick at the start of the season where he could have invested a fair bit of money into the squad. I mean, when you've got a manager like Bielsa, and he's sort of like saying, you know, come on, we can't do it again with this squad. And maybe we could have kicked on and not been in a position where, you know, it's all ifs, buts and maybes. But he has done a sterling job. And for me, these naysayers and, you know, who were knocking him and at every turn, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah, I think there's some really obvious positives, and I think there's some also really obvious negatives. Not maybe necessarily negatives, but just bizarre decisions, like a lack of PR, you know, inviting a far right wing Italian politician to Ellen Road very publicly on Twitter, you know, liking some catfish, you know, half naked girl on his Twitter account.
We've all done it. Let's not hold it against.
You know, obviously, Busgate, Badgegate, going to Myanmar right after a genocide. So I think, you know, there are some really weird decisions there in amongst the sort of really obvious good things. But you have to say that on the balance of things, he's done a very, very good job. And the only reason why it's not exceptional, or why I wouldn't maybe necessarily vote for the highest possible category if there were more than 4, would be some of these things. I mean, Badgegate, how he signed off on that, Myanmar, you know, socios. I mean, sure, it's a bit of money, but God. Okay, Gail Dale smashed the like button and she said, "Well said, Ewan." And there you go. You've got another fan, Ewan.
Need the money I can get. I've got plenty of enemies, mate. Thank you, Gail.
Wish fans would stop throwing objects at players. Yeah. Radz has done well. I think Radz has set it up well for selling on even. He is doing it right. Just a shame that he occasionally cries on Twitter, said Nova. I'm happy with Radz, says Nora. I don't want Radz to sell, knowing how many shocking owners we've had. Same, says Nova, but better him doing it with the other stadium included and all that, rather than setting us up for failure down the road when he does sell. And Paul Hunt on Facebook says, spot on about Radz. Think we were more skint than we admitted this season, though.
Yeah, I think if there's one playing, you know, for all the moral and kind of dilemmas that you've described there, Donny, are obviously mistakes, but I think Ryan's bang on that lack of investment. You know, people talked about the January transfer window. It wasn't about January; it was about the summer. Yeah. You know, there were certain things that needed doing. Everybody could see it. You know, a backup for Bamford. You know, the backup for Phillips. You know, and if he'd have done it sensibly in the summer, you know, we've heard the prices that were bandied around for players that they were looking at, and they weren't ridiculous. It would have probably helped us through what's been a really difficult season. And, you know, let's be frank, if they'd have kept Bielsa, we don't know what would have happened, but Marsh comes in, it doesn't work out. Where they'd say there's danger of dropping back to a league that we'd been in and worse for the last, you know, for 16 years. And that's not really acceptable. If it's your tenure, if you're the custodian of Leeds United and you get us back, which was remarkable, and it's not an easy feat. You know, we did it at a canter in the end. You know, 10 points clear, brilliant way to do it as champions and so on. But to lose that within a couple of years is it's almost unforgivable. So I think that could be the one thing that, like you said, when you look at that poll, I didn't put very good. I put good because I thought he's risked everything really this year, and whether it's for profitability, when he sells on, whether it's for listening, not being bought into, we can do it on a small squad. It's not acceptable. You put the whole show at risk because, for whatever reason, it's not acceptable. We should have invested more heavily in the squad in the summer, not been relying on magical January signings, which rarely come off.
I absolutely agree, but just playing devil's advocate for a second. Yeah. Obviously, you gamble as a businessman. So everything's a gamble. And the gamble was the potential of, Robin Koch, for example, being able to fill in midfield. He's played there for Germany. Adam Forshaw coming back.
Yeah. But they must see. I listen, football's about opinions. I'm not saying I'm right, but I do think that you must look at people on a training pitch and go, he's not going to be standing for Phillips. Maybe he does look good. Maybe he does look good in training. It's like a lot of people. You can do it in training. There's players. I've heard people say that Joffrey's not the greatest trainer. There's players who are like that who just turn up on match day. You think about Paul McGrath, couldn't train because his knees were that gone, and he'd probably like to beer too much. But he would want better, defenders of that era. I don't even want to talk about him, but we're going to come on to him anyway. So Letitia, I can't imagine him being a brilliant trainer. And you look at Paducah to bring it round to Leeds. Can't imagine him being the best of trainers either. But they turned out on the big match days, and that's what you need sometimes. So yeah, I agree in a way, Donny, that they probably thought they had a contingency, but the role that Phillips plays is a specialist role for me for Leeds, and there's no guarantee even if you'd have spent 15, 20 million on somebody it would have worked. But I think we needed options, and let's be frank, the season before, with no crowd in there, giving you one to go and lunge at people and make that extra little bit of effort. We had quite a lot of injuries then, so it was fairly obvious to me that we were going to have a few injuries this year as well. Maybe not as many as and as long term as we've had, but certainly we should have compensated for that and had a contingency for me. But
yep, I agree. Okay, so it could be worse though, and I think that's a point, or one of the points. Look at Scum. 4% approval rating.
Wow.
4%.
Wow.
It's pretty shocking, really, isn't it?
How much have they spent? Like nearly 2 billion.
I think it's mental. The spend's just crazy. Tottenham's debt. I know they've got to build the stadium. If you look just very quickly, if I encourage everybody to do it. I'm not a detail man, and I hate sort of, as you'll probably tell if you've watched any of these podcasts, I don't do a lot of research, right? But I looked at Crystal Palace, God bless them, spending debt very little, doing really well, competing, and obviously got a great result the other night, climbing up the table. Brentford, not a massive fan of Brentford, but new stadium, spend very little. Yes, they are at risk of but they had a great start to this. There's so many great stories in there. If you look at the stats, Norwich, it's almost like accepted that they'll just go up and down every year. Too good for the Championship, not good enough for the Premier League. It's quite.
It seems bizarre. Like West Ham and Everton. Yeah. Their owners have very, very similar approval ratings on about 15%. West Ham are almost getting into the Champions League this season. Everton almost getting relegated.
It's an absolute fortune, Everton, and that for me, again, read the stuff. I encourage anybody who's listening to have a quick glance through it. That's all to do with the stadium move for me. Proper West Ham fans. Yeah, proper West Ham fans are absolutely heartbroken about leaving the Boleyn Ground, Upton Park. To that sort of soulless. I think other West Ham fans have said it was necessary to compete, but it's not a popular move, that, and I don't think they're popular people because apparently they're paying themselves loans and earning a living out of it. So it's complex, really complex.
Okay, click. He's told Bob to fuck off, and he's gone. He's left Twitter, Bob. So if you're not aware of this, basically there was some random guy on Twitter who was tagged Clicky and told him it was something like, "Stop fucking around," you know, losing the ball, giving away stupid free kicks, you know, just pass it. And Click's response was, "Fuck off, full stop, Bob, full stop."
What a guy.
We want to see more of this, right? We want to see players responding, sticking up for themselves, you know, telling these people where to go. Big win.
Yeah, mentioning players on Twitter is just a big no-no for me. Looking ridiculous. Especially like Click as well. I think arguably one of the better players since Jesse Marsh has took over as well. He seems to have a bit of a new lease of life and he's playing really well again. You know, I mean, if there's one player you don't want to watch, it's Clicking it because he will, and he has done it. He will tell you to fuck off. Rightly so, and rightly so. Do you know what I mean? These people on Twitter, man, they all just need to fuck off. You know, atting players, you know, to get right on my frigging last nerve that you're going to get it at you on that platform, and I think, like you say there, Donny, it's the best way to respond. Call them out. It's a lot of nonsense what he'd put anyway. If he'd have put that 6 months ago, then I'd probably agreed with him. But last few games, he has been really good. Since Jesse Marsh took over again, like Rodrigo, he seems to have a new lease of life, and he's playing some good football again. So no complaints from me.
Remember in the documentary, I think it was Bamford who was saying, "Look, we're just humans. We're people as well, and we've got feelings as well." And you do try and avoid it, but you're still going to see it. You know, I feel that way about a lot of players. Just if I was the manager, I'd tell them to, you know, get rid of the phones.
We used to say about back in the day before social media and phones. They used to say, "Don't read the papers," don't they? But it's a similar mentality. You know, you're never going to gain or be built up confidence-wise in the paper. You look at Gascoigne. You know, there's players who were built up for a few years and then absolutely chastised and brought down by the media. So it's best just to avoid it. I mean, I look at, you know, Calvert-Lewin's done an interview today. As much as he, you know, dresses like he's just come out of a doll's house. You know, you've got like, what's his name? Rashford had a fan coming out of Old Trafford of the week who started on him outside, and Ian Wright got stuck in saying, "Yeah, tell him to fuck off." You know what I mean? Like, you're going to come at a player and have a go. But it's where you draw that.
Have you listened to Match of the Day Top 10 on BBC Sounds?
No, I don't think so.
Yes, it's a lot of it is just like Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer, and Ian Wright, and it's usually Lineker and Shearer and somebody else, and they're running through a top 10. There's one episode which is like top 10 crazy moments in the Premier League, and of course they talk about the Cantona one where he kung fu kicks that lad who said something about his mother. I think that's what he said. Anyway, Ian Wright said, "My first thought was I was jealous. I was jealous that he did it."
I love Riley. Listen, he's probably the player in my generation, the player I would have liked to see play for Leeds the most. Because A, he always used to play really well at Ellen Road, and B, he had that mentality where he'd been absolutely adored at Ellen Road, wasn't he? But yeah, bang on. You know, I think the way he used to play was he wore his heart on his sleeve and he got involved in some stuff. And again, that's what I was about to say. You draw the line at sort of players entering the stand, you know, doing what Cantona did. But you know, on social media, in your personal life, if you're walking down the street and the player's getting abused might be with his family or, you know, just on a night out, you're well within your rights for me to say exactly what you feel like saying, which in Klitsch's case was to tell Bob to fuck off. And to be fair to Bob, he did. You know, he listened to Klitsch and fucked right off. So, everyone's a winner. Yeah. Very respectful little tete-a-tete between Bob and Matthias. Fair enough.
Yeah, deleted his account, didn't he? And like his original tweet had 4 or 5 likes on it or something, and Clicky's had like 11,000. I mean, God, that doesn't tell you something.
Yeah.
Losing battle, mate.
I love it. Not sure I want Click to stay though, says Gail. There you go. Bandit, long live Matthias Click. The idiots abusing players in social media are probably the object throwers in stadiums, said Nicholas Griffin. I love the coaching staff and players fighting on benches against Wolf. And Click, the best was pouring that drink over that Villa player's neck.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah, the reason he gave was that the lad needed to cool down a bit.
There's nothing guaranteed to cool you down more when you're angry than somebody pouring water down.
Yeah, it was a lovely interaction between the players on the bench and the Wolves bench. Click was telling them to keep quiet, put his finger to his mouth, and Calvin was offering him out down the tunnel.
I'll see you down the tunnel. Come on, me and you down the tunnel. With his frizzy hair and his big smile, you'd think, yeah, I'll have him, but I bet he'd knock Pony out of you.
Yeah, he would.
Not if he were wearing them boots he had on the other day.
Oh, he missed the noisy boots.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear. The Cornish pasties.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so weird, isn't it? Calvert-Lewin's playing tonight, and I saw a quote from him, and he was saying, I love to annoy people with my clothes. I love to divide opinion with my fashion. Well, he certainly does it. He's doing it. If that's what you want to do, then you've done it. Bang on.
We used to go out. I knew a lad who did exactly the same. They'd go out on the night, like, what the fuck are you wearing? They'd be like, listen, I guarantee not every girl will like it, but a couple will. That's all I need. And then, it'll cause controversy. It'll be a talking point. People will come up and give me shit, and I'll end up charming them. And yeah, it's a strategy for some people, isn't it?
Well, they call it peacocking, don't they? So I mean,
we should start wearing more extravagant gear on here then.
Right. Come in with a huge feathered hat.
Fedora and a zoot suit, a pimp suit on.
Yeah.
Rightio. Final thoughts then. For a sort of a mad week. Boring game. It's a regulation draw, wasn't it? We're not used to that. We're used to the madness.
Yeah.
So final thoughts on a sort of a weird week. Ryan, big week.
Yeah, we took a point. We'll take that, like Ewan said. It's another point in bag towards safety. A bit of a sobering week as well with Kev Memorial that touched home and hit home as well. So I think the club and the fans, especially the fans, can take great pride in that special tribute that we give to them last week, and looking forward to now Saturday and 3 points. Big fingers crossed for 3 points and more or less guaranteeing safety. Shall I say? Just more or less, yeah. That's it from me. I think all roads lead to safety, as far as I'm concerned now.
Sorry, I've just seen that Cardiff City are having a Player of the Month for March poll, and Cody Drama needs your help.
Yeah, there's only one winner, I think. There.
He's on 48 points. We need 48%. We need to get him about 100 votes. So if you could do that, you've got to go do that tonight. Actually, Big Mac.
You know what to do, Leeds fans. Let's hijack that poll and get Drama the Player of the Month award. Yeah, I think that unbeaten in 3, 7 out of 9. We'll take that, and let's go get something on Saturday. You know, the game at the weekend, because just to go on that run where you sort of feel a bit invincible. You know, you drag a draw out of a loss, you get a win out of a draw, which we've done recently quite a lot, is massive. You know, you do feel like you just on a kind of, the momentum carries you through, and that's kind of what you need. I feel like the luck and kind of bit of that kind of rub of the greens turned in our favour, which is great. So sort of final thoughts from me would be, and you know, it's been a boring week for the first team, but I've seen somebody, Dav Seds just mentioned about the under-23s, you know, a comprehensive victory, Somerville hat-trick, Rafina possibly going in the summer. You know, is Somerville going to step up and be that replacement? Saving us, no doubt, a fortune. You know, let's hope so. So, you know, good luck to the under-23s as well. It's been a good week for them. And probably the last final thought would be, we're going to have like a Peacocks assemble, aren't we? Because the greatest news I've had this week, you know, to counteract the sadness around Chris and Kev, was that our Donny, our you know, lead contributor and kind of mastermind behind the Peacocks, is finally going to make it to Leeds. So it's going to be a special time for everybody.
Come on!
Not least him and Nora, because they're going to, you know, we described it as coming home. So it'd be good to see you, mate. So that's my final thought, is football, and as we said about Chris and Kev this week, there's things that are more important than football. But we built up a brilliant friendship over 2 years now, and it'd be great to finally, we've not met in person. You know, I've met with most of the Peacocks apart from you and Nora, so it'd be great to see you, mate.
Yeah, that's it. It's going to be fantastic. So if you've got any spare tickets for Chelsea or Brighton, don't give them to Big Mac. Don't you be pulling in any favours.
Yeah, do it. Give them to Donny.
Okay. Well, that's just about all we've got time for. So praying for lots of injuries, lots of suspensions tonight. Somebody, you know, if somebody could 2-foot Frank Lampard, that'd be great. You know, miss a tackle and accidentally on purpose go right into Lampard, clear him up completely. You know, break only a couple of ankles. I'm not.
He's only got 2.
Right. I'm not being greedy here, and I'm not inciting violence. You know, this is just wishful thinking.
That'd be great, to be honest. If somebody just proper cleaned him out on touch him and watch him crying and get stretching off, that'd be the perfect end to the game, really. Not wishing, well, actually, yeah, wishing ill on him.
I don't want somebody intentionally to do it. I want it to be a genuine accident. Like they've gone for a tackle, and a player has jumped out of the way, and they've clicked. Like it would just be so funny. And obviously 3 points at Vicarage Road, and basically end any debate as to whether we're going down or not, because I think that would pretty much do it. 1 win or 2 wins, and I think we're pretty much there. So final comments then. Love Ian Wright, but he was the scourge of our club. It was very annoying. Shearer as well. He always used to score at Ellen Road when he came. Season on season. We love dirty Leeds, says Gail. Jackson getting booked. Yep. 25 years since his last one. Somerville, good replacement for Rafa in the summer. He's somebody who we might try up front as well. You know, he's
fucking falling for that shit now. Let's play wingers up front. Wingers. No.
Just scored a hat-trick. Opinion is not divided, says Bandy. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's clothes are shit. Woohoo, says Nora. Come on, Leeds, says Gail. Thanks, guys. Night. Have a good week. Come on, Everton, for tonight. Oh, not sure I can agree with that last point, Gail, but everything else. And yeah, look forward to coming to Leeds very soon, in a month.
Great stuff.
Right. Please give a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next week. Come on, Leeds! Come on!
Come on, Leeds!